Hey, what's going on, and welcome back to another Skag Academy video lesson. Guys, in this lesson we're going to be discussing volatility. This is a little bit of a build on of the previous lesson with volume basics. So let's take a jump in. As I just said, this is a little build up off the previous lesson. This is an additional volume principle. It's something very quick that we're going to go over, but I don't want you guys to get too confused when looking at volume. So in the previous lesson, we discussed again how volume is how much trading activity will happen inside of any specific candle that you're looking at. Well, volatility is going to be the average of that volume over a specific period of time, right? So it's not just one candle, it's going to be an average of multiple candles over a longer period of time. So it's going to be important to note when volatility levels generally either increase or decrease, because this will affect how much price can move at any given time of the day. So basically, a higher volatility environment will give you more aggressive price action, larger moves on any given day, on anywhere in the range. And then lower volatility, of course, is going to give you this kind of less aggressive price action and smaller candles in general on the charts. So just to clear this up, neither is better than the other. Opportunities are obviously still going to arrive in both scenarios. It's just about being aware of how aggressive price action may be in comparison to another point of time. So we're going to just use a quick little example of this. Again, there's not too much to know here. It is just the average volume over a specific period of time. And here's just a really easy example of that. On the left side of this, we could see a high volatility environment. The average volume in that period of time is very high. And then you could see on the right side a low volatility environment where the volume is much lower. The candles are also, generally speaking, a little bit smaller than what you see on the left side, right? You can see how aggressive some of this price action is here. And yeah, we do have some nice candles, but on average, every single candle on this side is a little bit larger, again, because of the just higher average effort and volume in the market. So you can actually see where this kind of had switched over. You had kind of one day here where the volume just dropped off, the volatility dropped off, and then from that point, it remains low. Now, again, you just want to be aware of this. It just means, again, you're going to get these less aggressive moves. So you might want to adapt. In a high volatility environment, it may be more normal to have a wider of a stop loss because, again, things are just moving, generally speaking, more points or pips. We're in a low volatility environment, you might be able to actually tighten up your stop loss a little bit because, again, candles are not moving as aggressive as they were. Another thing I need you guys to note about this is, generally speaking, when you have something like this where you're shifting over from a high volatility environment into that low volatility environment, you want to be careful with your comparative volume analysis, right? Because obviously any volume on the right side of this is going to be drastically lower than the left side. So when you do notice a volatility kind of switch, it's best to keep the volume analysis inside of that new volatility range, right? Which means if we're looking at these pullbacks here, we're only going to compare them to other pullbacks inside of the low volatility environment. We're not going to compare them to the high volatility environments because although it may have lower volume than what we see, previously, of course that's going to be the case because the overall volatility is going to be lower. So whenever you get something like this, and as it's developing and as you see that kind of play out, you want to just make sure you zoom in on your chart and kind of ignore this from the aspect of the volume, right? You could still do some structural analysis. You could still take a few things into account. But generally speaking, obviously this volume is going to be even is low even when it's high, right? Even if these candles that do have, some of the more higher volume in them, there's still nothing in comparison. So when you're doing your comparative analysis, just make sure you're keeping it to your low or high volatility environments, and you're kind of neglecting the fact that you're just not in that same period of time. So that wraps up this example. Again, this was a really quick lesson. If there's any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to throw them below this video or in the Discord and community, and I'll be happy to answer those for you. As always, I will see you guys in the next lesson.